News 4 never stops watching out for you.
A student targets a school administrator inside a downtown St. Louis business school before he turned the gun on himself. News 4 developing details of how students escaped and what police are learning about the gunman and victim.
And that gunman and victim both being treated at SLU Hospital in surgery right now. We'll have an update on their conditions live.
A busy day for 4 fire departments as they battle a fire that destroys an apartment building. Now, the chief says what started this fire is something you may have had in your house for the holidays.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sharon Reed.
And I'm Jasmine Huda. Thank you for joining us. We are following several big stories tonight. We begin with a story we first brought you on News 4.
A shooting inside the Stevens Business and Art School in downtown St. Louis. Police say around 2 o'clock this afternoon, a student walked inside the school and shot an employee. The school located inside the busy entertainment district of Washington Avenue near 15th Street. Right now, both men being treated at a nearby hospital with critical gunshot wounds. We have team coverage tonight of the shooting. Deanna Zoga is at St. Louis University Hospital, where both the victim and shooter were taken. Our Lindsey Bramson spoke with witnesses near the school at the time of the shooting. But we begin with Maggie Crane, the first reporter on scene. Maggie, what can you tell us about how this thing started?
Sharon, I want to tell you first of all that right now Stevens Institute of Art and Business and Art is closed and will remain closed until next Tuesday after a part-time student walked into the school and straight up to the 4th floor financial aid office, opened fire on an administrator during a busy afternoon here on Washington Avenue in the heart of downtown St. Louis. Police say this was a targeted shooting by a disgruntled student who shot the administrator in the chest and then turned the gun on himself, also shooting himself in the chest. About 50 students and staff were inside at the time, taking cover under desks before quickly running for the exits. St. Louis Police SWAT, trained in active shooter situations, swept the school floor by floor, making sure no other people were hurt and that there were no other gunmen. I asked St. Louis Police Chief Sam Dotson about the school's response and that of police. What was the situation like inside the school while that was going on? Did they have a plan? Did they lock down?
They immediately started to evacuate the building. I think as they heard the first commotion, the first gunshot, they headed for the exits. They headed for the doors. It's an open campus during the day. Faculty and staff are allowed, and students are allowed to go and come as they please. I have to give credit to the first officers that responded. They did an outstanding job of securing the perimeter, of taking the victims and the witnesses as they were coming out to safety, and then beginning the floor-by-floor search to make sure that everybody else was safe. So I give the officers that were here first credit for finding the victim right away, for finding the suspect and taking him into custody.
And police do want to stress that this was not random, that this was a targeted shooting. Now, we have learned the victim's name, but we're choosing to withhold that information tonight until police tell us that they have had a chance to talk to the family first. Coming up at 6 o'clock, I'm continuing to talk with police sources working this investigation, and I will share with you what they tell me, but what they're learning about the gunman and how he got the gun. My colleague Lindsey Bramson also here with me and has talked to witnesses tonight. Lindsey?
Maggie, as you know, you're on the other side from where I am now. Several apartment buildings and businesses right here along the stretch of Washington Avenue. Now, here's the school right here behind me. You can see the scene is now clear. Now, when police arrived on scene, they evacuated the building and took the students and staff to other buildings nearby to get them away from the scene here. I can tell you I found where some of them were very shaken up. As you can imagine, they didn't want to talk on camera, but told me how they heard gunshots, hid under desks, waiting for police to arrive. I spoke with a woman who owns a boutique right across the street. She takes classes here at night. Another woman tells me she received a frantic call from her daughter inside the school. Listen as they both describe what was happening.
I immediately left from work. I got a phone call from her, and she just said, "Mom, they're in here shooting, help me." And I told her, go somewhere, you know, go somewhere safe.
So I ran out and I talked to one of my teachers. Her name was Lynn, and she was crying. She was frantic. So I asked her what was going on. She said it was a shooting and get out of here. So I left and came back over here to the store.
Coming up at 6, you'll hear from more witnesses who work right across the street from the school. One man describes the scene as he saw students just running across the street. Again, he works across the street here from the school. Now let's go to my colleague Deanna Zoga, who's at SLU, where both the shooter and the victim were taken. Deanna, how are they doing?
Well, Lindsay, the last update that we received from police was that suspected gunman in worse shape than the victim. Both, as we mentioned, suffered gunshot wounds to the chest. The suspects appeared to be self-inflicted. He is in critical condition here at SLU Hospital. The victim, we're told, in critical but stable condition. At the hospital this afternoon, I've seen detectives coming in and out. At one point, a detective carried out an evidence bag that appeared to be full of clothing. Immediately after this shooting, police blocked off the entrance to the ER at SLU. An officer stood guard outside, only letting employees in, letting police in. At about 4 o'clock this afternoon, though, police did open up that entrance a good 2 hours after that shooting. Again, the suspect and victim both being treated here at SLU Hospital. We will keep on top of their conditions, bring you any new information that we learned about how they are doing at this point at 6 o'clock tonight. Reporting live in Midtown, Deanna Zoga, News 4. All
right, Deanna, we'll see you at 6. Here is a recap of today's downtown shooting at the Stevens Institute of Business and Arts.
All of this starting at about 2 this afternoon. A man walked into the school, shot someone in the financial aid department, and then he turned the gun on himself. Both of the men, we are told, are in critical condition at St. Louis University Hospital. We will have much more on the story on News 4 at 6 and continuing live coverage on KMOV.com and on our Facebook page.
A frantic scene in downtown St. Louis.
Mom, they're in here shooting. Help me.
The busy entertainment district turned crime scene after a student walks into a trade school and shoots an employee.
I reached over the counter and I locked the front door because I didn't know what was going on.
Then turns the gun on himself. Tonight we're learning more about the connection between the gunman and the victim. Good evening. It's been an incredibly busy news day. I'm Steve Savard in for Larry Connors.
And I am Sharon Reed. New developments in the shooting at the Stevens Institute for Business and Arts. Police are now executing a search warrant at a home. Sky Zoom 4 is over the search at Cote Brilliant in Arlington and North St. Louis. Our Matt Cesney joins us on the phone right now. Matt?
Yeah, Sharon, residents in this neighborhood tell us that police arrived here at about 3:30 this afternoon in full force. A lot of police cars, the SWAT team, they all descended on that house located at the intersection of Cote Brilliant and Arlington. We are being kept a good block away. In fact, all the streets within a block around that house have been sealed off by police. We really can't get a look from the ground, but you can see it from Sky Zoom 4. What we are being told is that this home is believed to be connected in some way to the gunman in that shooting this afternoon downtown. It's not been made clear, however, if it is in fact the home where that gunman apparently lived. That hasn't been made clear yet. But again, police have been here for a good 2.5 hours, and if they are executing that search warrant, looking for evidence and clues in the shooting, it's expected they're going to be here for some time this evening. We'll continue to follow it live in North St. Louis. Matt Cesney, News 4.
The victim of today's shooting is the financial aid director at SEBA. He is right now in critical condition along with the accused shooter.
We have information. Maggie Crane has been working the story for hours on the scene. Stevens Institute of Business and Arts is identifying the victim as Greg Elsenrath, a 15-year employee of the Adult Learning Center. Police say a student, a man in his 30s, walked into the open campus on Washington Avenue and straight to Elsenrath's 4th floor office, shooting Elsenrath in the chest with a handgun. This was the middle of the school day with 50 or so students and staff inside the building. SWAT swept through the school, helping students to safety before finding the gunman in a stairwell, suffering a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest. No one else was hurt. Right now, police are investigating how the shooter got his gun and what set him off. They're also tracking his track record, looking to see if he's been wanted for other crimes. And just as you saw, looking at what evidence they can glean from his home in North St. Louis.
Let's tell you more about the scene. The Stevens Institute of Business and Arts is located inside the entertainment district in a loft building on Washington Avenue at 15th Street. Just after the shooting, police moved a lot of people out of that building to other safer locations. Lindsey Bramson spoke to some of those people shortly after the shooting. What did they say, Lindsey?
Well, Sharon, certainly a very scary situation, not only for those who are inside the building here at the time, but also for the many people who live and work down here on Washington Avenue. Once police arrived, they evacuated the school and took students and staff to nearby buildings. I found where some of them were. Very shaken up and scared, as you can imagine. They didn't want to talk with me on camera, but told me how they heard gunshots and immediately dropped to the floor and hid under desks. They were waiting to be told it was okay to get back inside, to come back inside rather, to get their belongings. Like I said, there are a few businesses right here across the street. Take a listen as some employees describe what they saw.
All of a sudden there's a lot of cops. We heard a lot of sirens, and I mean it was like one cop car after another come flying up down the road over here.
I seen one police pull up, and he jumps out the car with his pistol, and then chaos. It was like maybe 50 police jumping out with M16s and shotguns and pistols and running up into the school.
And the scene is now clear. There were some administrators here inside a little bit ago, but everybody is now gone. You can see the sign that's posted right here on the door. You can, for a couple days, they will not have classes. You can see people will be back here on Monday, January 22nd. Of course, we're going to stay on top of the story, and any new details that we get, we'll be sure to put on KMOV.com. Reporting live downtown, I'm Lindsay Bramson, News 4.
Lindsay, thanks. There have been several deadly workplace shootings in St. Louis in recent years. 3 years ago, a company employee opened fire in the ABB power facility, killing 3 and wounding 5, then shooting himself. 2008, a gunman shot and killed 5 people and wounded 2 others during a city council meeting at Kirkwood City Hall. Police killed the gunman. In 2006, a former employee of Finnegar's Catering shot and killed 2 employees, wounding a 3rd. Then he shot himself. Our Maggie Crane has been working her police sources all afternoon. Live from the scene, Maggie, you've just learned new information?
Got a whole lot of information to run through with you, Sharon, about this suspected shooter. He has a record that dates back to the 90s, and he is a convicted felon, but he is also believed to be mentally unstable. Here's what we've learned. In February of just last year, 2012, in front of a police officer, he is accused of throwing a brick through a window of a police car at North Patrol. He currently has an active probation violation for assault and unlawful use of a weapon out of St. Louis County. He also has a bench warrant here in the city of St. Louis for assault 3rd, property damage, and resisting arrest. Again, this all coming from sources about the suspected gunman. We're not yet naming him because he has not yet been charged in this crime, But again, police sources are saying that he is a convicted felon, and both people at the school and police sources say that he is believed to be mentally unstable. All of that, of course, part of their investigation, but that's what we've been able to learn tonight, live from downtown. I'm Maggie Crane, News 4.
All right, Maggie, good work. We certainly don't know his mental state, the shooter in today's case, but we found one local police department already training to deal with the mentally ill. That's all new tonight on News 4 at 10. We'll keep working to uncover any new information about today's shooting. You can follow any new developments all evening on KMOV.com. We'll have the latest there and the KMOV app.